You. Jamie, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Jeff Capel,
Here.
Councilwoman Jill Cole. Here. Councilman Lee Zerwanka.
Here.
Councilman Brian Gath,
Here.
Vice Mayor Pramod Javeri,
Here.
Councilwoman Katie Schneider,
Here.
Mayor Mark Cirkin.
Here.
7 present.
Do I have a motion to accept tonight's agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're going to move to a public hearing to consider the application for a conditional use permit for a fuel station with 7 pumps at 11220 Reed Hartman Highway in the Blue Ash North District. That's resolution 2023. Since this application is an allowed conditional use, not a zoning change or a PUD, we can vote on this resolution tonight if we choose. David, any opening guidance?
Would you like me to read it by title only?
Sure, it sounds like we should.
Approving a conditional use permit for a fuel station at 11220 Reed Hartman Highway.
Yes, you will. I'm sorry, you got any guidance for us before we turn it over to the?
Yeah, looks like
applicant?
he's eager to go, but I'll
Yeah.
just remind everyone it's a conditional use permit in this zone, in this, the Summit, I'm sorry, the Blue Ash North zoning district, and it went in front of council, I'm sorry, planning commission, and they recommended approval, and so we'll let him start the presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jonathan Woker.
Can you
talk
right into the microphone?
I will talk into the microphone. So again, Jonathan Woker. I'm a planner with McBride Dale Clarion. My address is 5721 Dragon Way, Suite 300, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45227. And I'm here on behalf of Kroger requesting this conditional use. I'm also substituting for my partner, Ann McBride, so bear with me. I'm presenting her material. We are here requesting conditional use. This is for property at the northeast corner of Reed Hartman Highway and Cornell Road. I have a brief presentation. This is material that was presented to the Planning Commission. So I want to give you an overview and then I'll try and answer questions that you have. So this is a plan that shows the location. This is currently a 1.1 acre property. Kroger has an agreement to lease this property and their intention would be to build a Kroger fuel center there. Again, a vacant bank property. This is the site plan that shows the proposed development. The property is in the Blue Ash North District, which allows fuel centers as a conditional use. And we're requesting that we obtain approval for that. So the plan shows the fuel center layout. In the middle of the plan is the rectangle showing the fuel canopy. There would be 7 dispenser islands. And then the 8th position, kind of in the middle lower corner, is the kiosk for the employee for the Kroger Fuel Center. We also have 3 parking spaces. You can see from the plan that we do not have any direct access from Reed Hartman or from Cornell Road. Both of the access drives will be from the private drive, which is Cornell Place. So those will be to the east on this plan. And you can also see the proposed fuel tanks are located in that position. We presented this application to Planning Commission. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Is this better?
Yeah,
Okay,
thanks.
Do you need me to start over? Okay.
We can hear you. It's so hard for the audience.
Okay. This application was presented to the Planning Commission in December. They recommended approval of the conditional use with a couple of conditions, and I'll review those with you. And there were also a couple of modifications that they also recommended approval on. So the first condition that was that we provide a traffic study to determine the impact on left turn movements to and from the site to Cornell. The second condition was comply with the state, county, local, and federal stormwater management regulations. And the third was to incorporate comments of the city architect into our design. Our team has worked with your city engineer and public works staff. We provided a traffic impact analysis, and the city engineer is recommending that we install overhead signage to restrict left turns from Cornell Place onto Cornell during peak hours. So if you look at the plan, that would be the driveway to the right side. So during peak hours in the morning and in the evening, we would install an overhead sign that would restrict left turn movements out. And I believe there's already restrictions on left turns.
Want a
Sure.
laser marker, it might help later on at some point.
So again, the traffic study concluded and the city engineer recommended that we install signage that would control left turns out of Cornell Place during peak hours. And that would be what's called a blank out sign. So it's kind of an LED sign that would be activated during those times. So in the morning and in the evening, it would activate and say no left turns for that traffic control. And Kroger agrees to that recommendation and condition. We will also comply with the condition about stormwater management and the architectural details. As you probably know, we have to come to your Board of Site Review, and that'll be the next step after this. So we'll provide detailed plans for that. I will go through this. We also have some elevations that we show. We have a landscape plan. There were a couple of modifications that included the number of pumps, as well as some relief on landscape placement. And in exchange for that, we enhanced the landscaping around the perimeter. Lighting plan. And this shows the proposed elevations, and the architect had some minor revisions that we have to have for building materials to label those and add some additional color to that. So we believe the proposed project meets the standards of the conditional uses of the zoning code. We agree with the planning commission's recommendations, and we believe that the fuel center will add convenience for Blue Ash residents, allowing them to use their fuel points and actually shop for fuel here in the city instead of having to go to another community. And we would request approval of the conditional use and the modifications. I can try and answer questions if you have them.
So typically, we're gonna let comments from citizens go first, only on this subject. If you want to talk about something else, that'll come later in the meeting. But if you have any particular comments about this particular project, we would invite citizens to come up now. The applicant will have response time either later in the hearing or immediately if he so chooses. So is there anyone who would like to talk about this particular project? Typically, like no more than 3 minutes. So please, yes.
It's my second time I come here. My name is Adil Shimali. I own and I am owner occupied. We have an engineering company on the corner across from that building, that proposed project. We are on 11180 Reed Harbin Highway. Just like to give you in general, since I have bought that building, you guys have taken about 10 feet on Reed Harbin Highway with the plan, and the promise was back then to put an island in the middle and all this green, and nothing of that has happened. You go sit in my office any morning, you'd see trucks zooming in, passing the red light, going left on that street. Need to do a very well planning on these things. You know that last year we had a death, a high school kid get, because you guys called me to see if I had cameras and the things. Second, look how many accidents on that intersection. You have 2 lines making left, 2 lines making right. I'm an engineer also, okay? So, and I don't know what the motivation, why Kroger doesn't add a fuel station at any of their Kroger's people. I'm not gonna go to a different fuel station to go fuel there. That's a hocus pocus. My daughter worked for Kroger, okay? My daughter, she's a computer engineer. She works for Kroger. This is hocus pocus. Let Kroger take their business some other place. What's your motivation? How much you're gonna add taxation, revenue taxes? I have all these engineers works for me in my office. I have engineers works under me in the same office. That's not gonna look good. We're gonna exit out of there. The value of that building, I can guarantee you, I don't get that. After 20 years, I will not get that value back from that building. That is a death trap on that corner. Go look at the cameras, look what is happening there. And there is a gas station across from it. Go look at the gas station, sit at the gas station. People are loitering, sitting around. These gas stations do not bring any value to the community. We had a bank, we need something else that bring taxes, high-paid jobs. What you gonna get out of this gas station over there? You're not gonna get anything. You're gonna lower the property of the value of our property. I'm gonna call on you and ask you to reassess what I'm paying taxes on this property where I am right now. We don't need another gas station, guys. This is a joke. And go look at the traffic control. There is a problem with that intersection. They check how many times your fire people are going there to check. This is a chaos at the cross section. You guys made a plan, remove 10 feet out of my building. The building right now is sitting on the street. You put all these electric pole in front of my building. Go look at that. Take a picture. Beautification, that's not beautification. Go look what's on the other properties. We already are there. We're paying taxes. Highly paid people. What you trying to do? You're trying to ask us to leave? If that's what you want, you can get a Kroger there. You can get paid minimum wages, one person. One person. Okay, I've been in Blue Ash for all these years. I don't live in Blue Ash. I pay my taxes in Blue Ash. Remember that.
3 minutes.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm
thank
done.
you. Would
you.
anyone else like to talk on this particular project? Come on up to the microphone and did you fill out well, we don't need it. Do we need that for public hearing? No, come on up, Ms.
You mentioned that.
Can you
this would
talk into
help-
the microphone, please? There's,
You mentioned that this would help us use our Kroger points. My
could you also
understanding-
start with your name and address?
Oh, my
I'm
name is
sorry.
Mara Hassan Mauer. My address is 4407 Cheswick Drive.
Thank you.
Just a quick question, follow up. It was stated that this would help us out because we could use our Kroger Plus points. And I believe we can use those at a gas station on Kenwood Road. Am I wrong about that?
You are not
It-
incorrect, but you can only use them for a few cents off versus.
Versus the
for
full
100
amount?
points. Yeah,
Okay,
like if you, for $1,000 points in a month, you can use it for $1 off, I guess.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'd like to go on record that saving a few bucks isn't worth it to me to see this gas station go in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else about the Kroger Fuel Center?
Good evening, Karen Beeler, 11155 Centennial, which is very close to where this is. And honestly, if it goes in, I will be there spending my Kroger fuel points there. If it is going to go in, I would like to advocate, I haven't seen the plans, but landscaping appearance of it and across Reed Hartman on the corner in front of Key Bank, excuse me. They have kind of a bit of a retaining wall and a landscaping. And when I heard the plan of the Kroger going in there, I'm thinking something that kind of is a matching and creates kind of a gateway. I guess you're leaving the city at that point, looking at it that way, but kind of matching that aesthetics and making sure that it is not just a sterile, fuel center look akin to the Speedway down the road or something like that. But, and I did see as he went by in the presentation that there looks like a substantial landscaping plan, but I just want to be an advocate for at least the look of it if this is going to go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we're going to close the public portion of the meeting. Council, typically we ask questions. The developer has the ability to answer any questions that were brought up by the citizens and certainly talk to us. We usually deliberate later on in the meeting when it's the resolution, but let's get our questions out now.
Question about the left turn and that blackout signal, if that's what you called it. So you mentioned you can't turn left out. So what about the concern of people turning left across traffic? Was that not in the traffic study as an issue?
Hello, Jonathan Woker again. So my understanding is there's already a restriction for left turns into Cornell Place from Cornell Road. So there would now be an additional restriction for left out. So during peak hours, you cannot turn left into Cornell Place. Reverse, okay. Sorry. Apologize, I had that
Thanks
reverse.
for the clarification.
Not very well, sorry.
And the signage will change for both of those options to, right now, there's a very small sign underneath the stop sign as you're coming out of Cornell Place.
I'm not sure we've decided if that has to change or not, but we intend to work with the city engineer on what
Okay.
those
He's
signs.
nodding, so they'll both be there. It doesn't change the actual operation. Already that left turn out of Cornell Place is restricted during certain hours. It keeps the same certain hours. It just signs it better.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges. The more concerning challenge is the left in during peak periods because you're causing backups coming from Reed Harbin Highway. So this is a similar discussion as we had a month ago in downtown. There was consideration of a median. And council wasn't very receptive to the meeting at that time. So this was a compromise for now and see if we can, because, Sunday morning you can pull in here pretty easy, but it may be a problem at 5:15 on a Monday or something like that. So this blanked out sign will be on during those hours going in to facilitate traffic so it doesn't block Cornell and traffic coming from Reed Hartman. If traffic gets backed up on the internal parkway, that's not a concern of ours really. But just to take it a step further, we're doing a safety study long term for that whole corridor. And so there may be some future improvements along there. So this is one that was viewed as a good compromise for now.
And I think I recall we had citizen comment when we saw this several months ago that he was very concerned about a concrete barrier in between those lanes for his. And did I read correctly, in lieu of the plantings that are normally required around the foundation of a building, in this case, just the kiosk, I guess you're calling it, you've moved all of those plantings and like 50% more to that corner?
That is correct. So as part of the review by planning commission, we enhanced the landscaping around the perimeter beyond what's required. And that was in part in exchange for what you just.
And I think I read that you're keeping the mature trees that are on the site already and you're adding some trees and then there's no wall that I'm aware of, but there's a very substantial planting feature at that corner. Is that
That's
right?
correct. We're not proposing a wall, but you can see on the plan that there is, combination of trees and shrubs and perennials landscape there.
Excellent.
I have a quick question regarding the fuel tankers. They're going to enter, I'm assuming, off of Cornell into Cornell Place and then head out the north end of Cornell Place?
Correct.
Okay,
So we have a diagram here that shows that. So they would enter and then they would head to the north, which would give them access.
timing wise for when they deliver and such?
You know,
Off peak or,
typically it's off peak. I mean, the Kroger's desire is for them not to be there at the busiest times as well.
okay,
So, I mean, they have some control of that. If there's situations where they have to be there, but the plan would be for them to come during off peak hours. And this would not be a 24-hour operation. So, this would be, an area where they could, deliver fuel when it's not the most crowded time.
but the drivers will understand in, out and direction and
They're
such?
given instructions on where to deliver.
Okay,
There's a certain requirement that they need to offload their fuel on the passenger side
Mhm.
so that they're protecting the underground tanks. Doing equipment while they're doing that work. So that demands that they be headed north in this situation. So when you lay out these tanks, it's important to figure out what that route's going to be. So there's really only one direction that would work for them, and that's what we're showing.
thank you.
had a couple of quick questions. I think I read there's an enclosure for the dumpster.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the print is really tiny. Could you just point out where it is?
Sure.
And
So
explain, talk a little bit about that.
back to the landscape plan. So pretty unique site in that we're right at the corner. And so what we will have is the dumpster enclosure would be located here. And then we would have landscaping around that. So it would have, you know, masonry enclosure that would match the rest of the store. And then we would have landscape.
Okay.
Circulation wise, you know, that's really on the demand of function.
That's where one's located now?
I believe that that's where the chain link.
And another question, I got a little bit confused. In some of the places it looked, or it sounded like Kroger is purchasing the site, and in other places they're leasing it. What?
I believe it's a lease. It's a lease.
Okay,
So apologize for any confusion on that.
that's okay. Thanks.
Anything else you'd like to wrap up with?
No, we, you know, worked through a lot of these details with planning commission and with your staff and worked on the traffic, information. So to your approval tonight.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close the public meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of March 9th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any communications to council, Jamie?
No, sir, not tonight, Your Honor.
Reports from outside agencies? So the 2002 annual report, do I have a motion to accept the annual report for 2022?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It was wonderfully done and so much information in it. And if you haven't read it, it's good reading. Got so much stuff about the city and how things are done and how money's spent. Just really well done. Thank you. And Rachel and Julie and everybody else and Kelly and of course, David, I'm sure he had lots. He's ignoring me. Okay, we're going to move to hearings for citizens. If you wish to speak, please approach the microphone and state your name and address. If you have any materials to pass out, please give them to Jamie, Clerk of Council. Please keep your comments as brief as possible to allow other chance to be heard. Hearings from citizens is for us to listen to you and your neighbors. It is very unlikely that we will make any remarks immediately after you speak. We need to have a chance to reflect on your comments. Sometimes during miscellaneous business, a bit later in the meeting, we do revisit an issue brought forward tonight. The Clerk of Council will notify you when 3 minutes has passed, and at that time, please wrap up your presentation. Most importantly, let's all treat each other calmly and with respect.
Hello, my name is Chuck Laurie. I live at 535 Windings Court, Cincinnati, Ohio. My business is here at 11223 Cornell Park Drive. I'm the chair of the Greater Cincinnati Earth Day event at Summit Park. We've had this event here. This will be the 5th year. Earlier this year, myself and other fellow board member Pat Nascotti met with the vice mayor, and he suggested that we come and just inform the council about the activities. So we brought the event here to Blue Ash. Cincinnati wasn't helping us produce the event, and Blue Ash has been very helpful in giving us Summit Park to put this event on. We believe it in Blue Ash's intent to have a Earth Day event at the park. We really feel that we're a family of Earth Day for Blue Ash. We're not really working for ourselves. We're working for the city of Blue Ash. We're volunteering to produce this event. Our intention is to have it grow. And it's a wonderful park to do this in. So just in your package I gave you, we usually have a student logo that we have students design every year. And I also included the outside of the program for 2023. And it's our current list of director, all the companies that'll be there. Our focus this year is on recycling. So we're using Summit Park's A-frames to help educate people on recycling. It's very important. And then I had the last year's program, and then, a copy of Edible Cincinnati, Ohio, that had your ad. And, Summit Park is always, you're the name sponsor. Every time we mention Greater Cincinnati Earth Day, it's always at Summit Park Blue Ash. And we really appreciate that. The costs have gone up, and, this year we're paying a small fee to use the park, but we appreciate it's only a fraction of what the city of Cincinnati was charging us, and looking forward to having the mayor read his proclamation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Great day, and you are filled up with vendors, so. that'll be a lot.
Oh, we've still got room we'll make more. So
Yeah.
anybody wants to exhibit, that'd be great.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Good evening, Jim Sayuda, 5761 Donjoy Drive, 45242. A couple meetings ago, I spoke about speed on Kenwood Road. I got to tell you, it hasn't gotten any better. From on Reagan Highway South in both directions, it's 50 and 60 miles an hour all the time. So I don't see why we can't extend that speed limit to the city limit on the south side to 25 miles an hour. Have a lot more signage. Could have some of those the signs that flash like they do out on Reed Hartman Highway. It's just really a dangerous situation for all the residents in there and those communities. And so I'd like to see something addressed to that. Needs more speed limit signs. Madera has a sign that says speed limit strictly enforced. So I think there's a lot more we can do, especially downtown. Now that we have a lot more pedestrians crossing the street to the businesses during the construction, speed is still a problem in downtown Blue Ash. And I've spoken with the chief a little bit about this. Maybe we could put a dummy car out there somewhere. So, because when people see that car, they slow down just like that. They don't want to take any chances. Okay, so I'm just making some suggestions. There's only 4 25 speed limit signs between city limit and all the way on the other side of Qdoba up there to the railroad tracks. So I think we do a lot more better with hello English. I didn't go to Sycamore, so but I think we do better with signage all the way around, and hopefully take some other steps to slow the traffic down. Thank you.
My name is Peter Nord. I live on Ken Ridge Lake for the last 23 years. And I first worked in Blue Ash when I was 14 years old, and I could get a work permit. It was before the city was founded. So I'm not an old resident, but I'm an old timer. And I thought his comment about a dummy car was really interesting, because my mother lived on the Overseas Highway in the Florida Keys in Marathon, halfway between the bottom of Florida and Key West. And about, 15, 20 miles up the highway from where she lived was a little community that had a police car parked along the side of the Overseas Highway. And whenever anybody drove by there, they always slowed down. Well, it had flat tires. It hadn't moved in years, but it did the job quite well. I thought, always was amazed. So that stuff really does work. And I think the guy has a good idea. I always, since I come down Kenwood Road, making a left turn out of Ken Ridge Lake every day, and I see a lot of people going through the Glendale, Milford, Kenwood Road intersection on the red light. And I keep thinking that if Blue Ash could have somebody there nicking the license plates, you probably wouldn't have to have taxes. So, and there's a officer's car parked up there every now and then, but I'm not really in favor of traffic light cameras. But if the city wanted one there, I think you could make a lot of money, and I certainly wouldn't object. And probably would have to drive a little more carefully there myself. And I'm 84, I've got one new hip, and I keep talking to my surgeon about maybe the other new hip. And it would be really nice if there was a little stool here a guy my age could sit on rather than have to stand up, because it's getting to be a trial to stand up. And so a stool would be handy. You're recognizing that there are some old folks who don't quite get around as well as you young whippersnappers do.
Thank you. And nobody else? I'm going to move on to committee reports, finance and admin. Oh, I'm sorry. You were, okay. You do.
Okay,
Further-
Mara Hassan Mauer, 4407 Cheswick. So we have older neighbors in Ravenwood, and I've been texting a couple of them with the question I posed earlier was a question from our neighborhood, from the older residents who couldn't come over. I'm assuming that you Zoom the meetings. And
YouTube.
is there a way of texting questions, or is that something that could be available that then someone could read during this time from neighbors who can't make it?
I've
Here are
been
the,
asked before.
okay. Yeah, some of the older neighbors just can't get over
They could
and
certainly send them ahead of time.
yeah,
and
yes, for sure. I'll let them know that
I
too.
would happy to, put it out there.
Okay, great, thanks.
Now, is there anybody else? None. I'm going to move to committee reports. Finance and Administration, Councilman Zerwanka.
Jamie, please read resolution number 2023-27 by title only.
Providing for amendments within the 2023 annual appropriation resolution number 2022-64.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-27.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Jamie, please call a roll.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilman Capell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cole. Yes. Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin,
Yes.
7 yeses.
Thank you.
Bud.
Well, everybody's kind of turn those off.
There's like 3 inches of rain coming, so there's a flood warning probably.
Jamie.
Oh, it's Amber Alert. That's more important.
Jamie, please read resolution number 2023-28 by title only.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into the participation agreements related to opioid settlements with Teva, Allergen, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-28. Any discussion?
My only question is are these funds very targeted to where we can use them for? Okay.
Anyone else? None? Jamie, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Schneider,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Councilman Capell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cole. Yes. Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin.
Yes.
7 yeses.
Amy, please read resolution number 2023-29 by title only.
Authorizing the city manager to negotiate and enter into an agreement for the purchase of real property located at 4906 Cooper Road, parcel 612-0040-0227 in the city of Blue Ash, Hamilton County, Ohio.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-29.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have some thoughts on this one, actually. So this is, so the purchase of a house on Cooper Road in between the nursing home and the post office. So it's a small property. And so the idea is to purchase this, turn it into parking for downtown. I know our parking is very short, especially with the town square renovations right now. So it's advantageous, I understand, to add some more parking. However, about 200 feet down the road with our parking that we have at the community center is not well used. It's not, there aren't very many signs to put people in that direction. So I guess my concern with this is, I'm supportive of this to purchase the property to have this, when we do need it. We've just redone the area on the corner where the blue is going for parking. So I'm just questioning why we would purchase this and immediately turn it into parking. When we've got some options right now. I think as we focus on trying to make downtown more walkable, we want it more alive, that a parking lot, an additional parking lot downtown is not really great use, I think, of the resources, the property that we have. So I just question kind of the long-term plan, and going back to when we talked about Town Square, maybe we were short-sighted when we talked about putting a parking garage under the square. I know it's extremely cost prohibitive, but I just question maybe we were a little short-sighted on that if we're already running into issues a year after we made that decision.
Well, I think there's going to be more parking at Town Square once it's finished than there is now, number one. And I look at this as kind of a land bank thing. Yeah, it may not be a parking lot forever, but it's a nice piece of property to have in downtown that one day maybe the nursing home's not there, or one day even the post office changes configuration. So for the short term, I think it'll be nice to have parking, especially for the next year. And then we can always repurpose it later on. Personal opinion.
So don't we have extra parking though for the next year where the blue is?
We do, but that's a bit of a chore to get there, a little bit of a walk. And there's plenty of parking. It's, in my opinion, it's just a matter of people want to park right outside the place of business. So, I mean, if you're willing to walk a little bit, I do think we have a fair amount of parking. It's not like Oakley or Mount Lookout or some of these places where you're parking and, way up the street in the neighborhoods. But that being said, this is certainly a nice convenience for people to visit our vendors.
Yeah, Mark, I agree with you. I think this is more of an issue of, land banking that site. And it is disappointing. I think I share your opinion on this too. It's disappointing to me that people don't know and don't utilize that parking that's available at the wellness center. And I don't know if improved signage or just communication through our normal channels would help improve that. But it is unfortunate that it's not utilized more fully.
I do have a fair amount of signs downtown now around Town Square that you can actually, even what do you use them? QR codes. Wow, I'm old. The QR codes where you can hit it and it tells you where all the parking is right
Okay.
away on your phone by just taking a picture of it. Anyway,
I do agree. This is an opportunity, given the fact that the nursing home next door, which is not in great shape in any way, shape, form, or manner, if it became available at some point in time as an opportunity, you add to it, then you can really work with the property. So just an opportunity that's presented itself.
house has been vacant for, I think, 10 years or more, if I remember. And at one point, somebody was talking about rehabilitating it and using it, and then it was just.
I don't think a house goes there. I think it past that point. I think the land banking is primary reason to do this. I think your point's well made that we have a lot of temporary parking going up down there. I'm hopeful, and I imagine based on what we last heard from the Blue developers, that they're going to be starting construction inside the next year, and perhaps that temporary spot won't be there the whole time. So it's nice to have a little bit of time to put something up in there. And I don't know what a higher, even if it's just, if you didn't put up a parking lot there, grassing it and cutting it every week, I don't know if that's a particularly better.
The other thing is with the square under development right now, which is going to take a year. And let's say next year we get back into our concert modes again. you're going to need the parking. They're going to be more excited to come on back. So you're going to have the parking then. So in addition to.
And we've known for years now that if the downtown area takes off much more than it is now, that we've got a parking issue to deal with. And this lot, it's not the answer to that, but it assists in providing more parking spaces. And we're able to acquire this without giving up an arm and a leg as well. That opportunity doesn't come around too often. I also agree with what Mark and some others have said is just because we're purchasing it and the first thing we're doing with it is turning it into a parking lot, it doesn't mean it's the last and best use of it. If other development opportunities in that immediate area come around, then that could be upgraded into something else. So overall, I view this as making sense in the both short and long term.
Points are well taken. I would just urge us to think more long-term. You know, if we're going to constantly be talking about parking issues downtown, then, you know, what solution do we have if we're looking out 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
Just want to add one thing, a small one, that we don't want bad wishes to the nursing home or the other properties surrounding both or right across. But I think basically, I think we need more parking in downtown because of the so many restaurants, not we have, but whatever we have, they always have a shortage of parking. So this will help a little bit more to our vendors who are on the square there. So I think this is the best opportunity for us to consider and get some more parking. Thank you.
Any other comments? Being none, Jamie, please call the roll.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cole. Yes. Councilman Capell,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes,
Mayor Cirkin,
Yes.
7 yeses.
all I have, Mayor.
Okay, we're going to move to Planning and Zoning Committee, Vice Mayor Javari, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mayor. Jimmy, can you read resolution number 2023-01 by title only?
Approving a conditional use permit for a fuel station at 11-22-0-11220 Reed Hartman Highway.
Are we reading the amended one or the original one?
That
or
is
does
the
it not-
amended one. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yes, amended.
I didn't get.
Move to adopt.
Move yet?
No, I don't think he did.
I don't
We
think
have to move that up to right?
we have,
Okay.
yeah,
Move to adopt the resolution 2023-01
Second?
in favor or call the roll?
Any
I
discussion?
want to discuss it.
Well, it sounds like we
Yes,
just
yes.
put in the original and not the amended version.
I think Jamie said that she read the amendment.
what I read was the amended version and passing amended.
So we're all clear. We're talking about the amended version.
Okay,
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
It's
that's
on the
fine.
record. We're
Okay.
good.
And the difference between these is the amended version has the turn signs opposed to another idea that came out of planning commission.
So
And the blank out, and they'll work with the city to make sure that we're in agreement on how the signs are done and the placement and everything. Okay.
We need to call the roll call.
We,
anybody wants any more
discussion
comments
first.
first?
which I know I have some things
Go
on
ahead.
it. So the zoning code right now would allow a gas station operator to put 4 fuel pumps on a location. The resolution we have in front of us would grant Kroger the ability to put 7 on theirs. So if this passes, Kroger gets 7, but everybody else is still stuck with 4. That to me is an unacceptable government-sponsored competitive advantage. Right down the street from this, within crawling distance, is Speedway. They've been there for many years. they've got 4 pumps right there. So if we pass this, if we pass this as written, we would essentially be saying, Kroger, we like you, you get 7. Speedway, thanks for being here all these years, but you've dropped a little bit in the hierarchy. You're still stuck at 4. So as written, I'm not going to support it. And I think, I don't know if we're able to just amend it down to 4. If that's the case, I'm fine. Or if we think 7 is appropriate, then I think the best solution is to simply pass a zoning change that allows everybody to have 7. But either way, we need to have the same rules for everybody.
My thought is that if Speedway wanted to have more pumps, they could come and ask for a conditional use. And they were built many, many years ago, so it's apples and oranges. You
Well,
know,
the
if they,
other-
if they came forward with their plan right now, they may ask for 6 or 8 or 10 or whatever.
The
So
other,
I don't know why it has anything to do with what an old business has right at this point.
They're following the code.
the other thing is Speedway's 24/7. Kroger's going to limit their hours. So you're going to limit the hours for people to get gas. So you're going to need more pumps versus somebody that's open 24/7 and you get all day long.
Plus the Speedway's got a whole inside store. This is
Right.
just a kiosk.
Right.
This is not going to be a lot of other sales. It's going to be gas and that's going to be mostly it. They'll have a couple, because I've been to a lot of these places, like every month I'll go and use my points. And we were talking about, it's 10 cents per gallon at Shell maximum. But at a Kroger fuel station, you can go up to $1 if you have 1,000 points. So that's, I just was remembering that. So I think you're really not, the businesses aren't even the same. Some of those businesses like Speedway, they make more money off of you going in there and buying potato chips than gas. They just want you to come in there and buy over, whatever the cost of their products are. So I think you're really different businesses.
I don't want to speculate, but I assume Kroger makes more money by the $1,000 in groceries that you purchase.
Absolutely.
than They do on the
Absolutely.
gasoline that they're giving
This
to
is
you.
more
So
of a,
it's a loss
I think
leader
it's more of a
for their-
service than it is.
I think it's a really good project. It's on an appropriately sized piece of property or something like this. The UDF downtown, you couldn't put more pumps in there. Wouldn't work, but that's not what they're trying to do. It's a component of a larger business. I really appreciate the landscaping plan. I like your thoughtfulness in, well, we couldn't do it this way, so let's move them over here and this will then enhance the whole project more. I like that. I like the solution. It's better than a median, and it's certainly better than the metal sign that exists on Cornell Place now. And I'm very grateful. The city manager mentioned, and just to be clear to everybody, that whole section of Cornell Road is undergoing a safety study to look at pedestrian safety, traffic safety, all the other components of that because of the accident that happened further up the street. And this isn't exactly the intersections further up the street. But also a lot of people from my ward, the closest candy bar for a lot of kids is at that Speedway. And there's, cars are big, but they're not going to stop me from getting a candy bar. So I really appreciate us taking a look at that as part of this. And I think my wife will be very happy that I'll be using Kroger points closer to home than driving her halfway across town to get them.
I have the same thing, my wife using the Kroger all the time. She goes all the way to the Lebanon Road to fill up the gas. So this will be a lot more convenient for her not to go all the way to Lebanon. So I think this project is more valuable for the community of Blue Ash.
This project used to have, that was a bank. It had 2 drive-in tellers. It had a drive-in ATM. It also had an ATM inside. So it had a fair amount of traffic in and out. And if you ever sit at one of these stations, yeah, it might have a lot of pumps, but it's a dribble in, it's a dribble out. It's a couple cars a minute. And if a couple cars a minute make a difference at the intersection, we've got much bigger problems. It's like Chick-fil-A. So people were worried about the traffic with Chick-fil-A. If you watch it, it's a car every 20 or 30 seconds. And that is not a problem for that intersection to handle. So personal opinion. So very popular vendor to have in the city. This is one of those things I brought up to some people and they're all like, oh, yeah. We thought it would be over at Hunt Road, but obviously that's never happened and they've never asked for it. So
Well, that's my big regret. I wish it was over by now
Yeah.
because it's closer to my house and also closer to Blue Ash. But I think this is a great thing to offer our residents and I appreciate the landscaping plan and just the way that it's laid out and the concern about the traffic. So I think it's a good thing that we're looking at here.
I also think the landscaping plan will be a great addition. If you drive down there now and look at it, it's pretty sad corner. So I think
Yeah.
what you're adding will really make that look much, much nicer. And I think having so many pumps there as well, the way that traffic is coming in and out, it makes sense to not have people have to wait at the pumps and get them in and get them out. And I'm happy to hear about the left turn restrictions. I am a little concerned about that long term if it does become a problem, but I think like anything we've discussed, if it does become a problem, we can always reassess and if something else is needed. Also eager to hear about the study that's going to be done about safety and potentially additional solutions there to make that safer. So overall, I think it's a good project.
Any more discussion? Jimmy, please call the roll call.
Councilwoman Cole,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider,
Yes.
Councilman Capell,
No.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin.
Yes.
6 yeses, 1 no.
That's all, Mayor.
Okay, we're going to move to Public Works Committee. Councilwoman Cole.
Thank you, Mayor. Jamie, could you please read resolution number 2023-30 by title only?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the Blue Ash 2023 paving program for the unit prices as shown on the attached bid summary.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-30.
Second.
This is just our annual paving program, as the title of the resolution indicates. And this year we'll be working in Hazelwood subdivision, the Sports Center parking lot, some Cornell Road marking improvements, and then the alternate that we are recommending approval of to do some work on East Forest Lake Drive. So pretty excited about it. So I know it's disruptive while it's going on, but people are always really happy to have their streets improved. Are there any questions or comments?
It's not just paving. It's really cool.
It is really cool.
For the residents of Hazelwood who who have
Walking
been
on.
looking, you know, your road is very important and I know
It
you weren't
is.
minimizing that at all. I know that there've been some comments in Hazelwood, some questions, and so just to answer those and then answer them several more times, I'm sure. This does the entire Hazelwood subdivision plus those other spots. So there was talk that maybe we wouldn't be able to afford to do the whole subdivision at once, but in fact, we have been able to. This is a milling, which takes off the top couple of inches. It will also repair, tell me when I start lying, Gord. It will also repair those places in the sub bed of the road where it needs repair. And I was really fascinated what you told me right before the meeting. But what they do is they go through it in the areas of the road where it is clearly failing the sub road. They cut that out. They fix it there because that's where you need it.
Right.
Instead of going in and tearing up the entire road for a much longer period of time. If it's worked for all these years, it's fine. If it doesn't work, we'll fix it. And then coming back in on top of that. So there's a lot of people who are going to be very excited
Yes.
about this. Ready for the process.
Any other questions or comments? Jamie, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Capell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cole,
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes.
Mayor Cirkin.
Yes.
7 yeses.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to miscellaneous business. David, you want to start us off?
I don't have anything tonight other than to say it's wonderful to be with you.
Wow. Kelly,
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Julie,
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Jamie.
Well, I have several things.
Uh-oh.
I have nothing, thank you.
Chief Noel, I see you out there. Nothing, Chief Theaters. Nothing tonight. Gordon?
Yeah, I just wanted to provide notice that the Hunt Road landslide repair project is going to begin next Monday. So Hunt Road will be closed for, we hope, a lot less than 2 months, but it's going to be closed for those 2-month period. And the detour route is currently Cross County Road. So anybody to go between to trying to get to Plainfield from Reading will have to take Cross County to that location. So I know it's a big inconvenience, but assuring that the road does not fail in the future is also an inconvenience. So it will unfortunately take a long time and will be a pain, but we'll try to get it done as quickly as possible.
Brian Cruz?
I thought you were skipping me. Nothing.
Just messing with you.
Nothing.
Nothing. Counselor Pacheco? Jill?
The only thing is we didn't get a copy of the annual report in advance, but I'm really excited to review it. It's always so helpful and it really, I think, summarizes so nicely all the great things that Blue Ash are, and just thanks to the staff for doing such a great job on this every year, and I encourage the citizens to review it themselves.
Nothing from me.
Lee?
Nothing tonight.
Katie?
Nothing tonight.
Oh, I gotta say something. Mr. Nord, I appreciate your comments, and I think I saw the mayor taking notes. I hope we can accommodate you, but perhaps in the meantime, you can think of it as exercise for standing up that long, and perhaps that helps Jamie keep you at your time limit too. But in all seriousness, I'm very strongly in favor of feedback from all of our citizens. And so if we can do something to make that possible, then I think we should. And that goes into the hearing from citizens. I love your idea, Mr. Mayor, let's encourage people to mail them in or email them in or something so that we can do that. I don't think we have the resources to moderate a chat online, but I think there's ways that if people aren't able to get to the meeting, that they should be able to participate somewhere. I thank you to Kelly, who I think is responsible for adding the second camera. I know that the folks who are watching at home on our YouTube channel appreciate seeing what goes on the screen as well. The thing I do want to talk about is speeding. I'm a Boy Scout, if it says 25, you really ought to be doing 25. And I may be the only person in any city that actually tries to do that, or at least 28, I don't know. But the thing that I learned in my last city, and the thing that I suspect is true here, is that the people who are speeding are our neighbors and the coworkers in Blue Ash. And it's a matter of respect for one another, that as I'm driving by your house, I act in a safe way. And as you drive by my house, I would like you to act safely. I know they're ignoring the signs that are there. I know that, I don't think people don't understand that the speed limit is 35. And if they're really doing 50 or 60, I don't think that being 30 over instead of 20 over is going to change their mind. I really hope that people will continue to think about other people, and as the chief has resources to continue his enforcement on all our roads. Live in a great place. What a great meeting to have something that we need to talk about is speeding. I think that's awesome. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Javari?
I have two things. Since somebody mentioned about that, when the age and somebody cannot come to the podium, we have a second microphone. We can give it to the microphone where you're sitting, so you don't have to put down the stool here. So that can be possible later on if anybody wants to use it. Number two, I have a couple of calls, maybe, and also Mayor got the call about the property next to the church we talking about at the Cooper and Reed Hardman Road. I just want to talk about these things. and what is everybody's opinion, whether we should buy, we should not buy? Or what is everybody's opinion here? I just want to brief discussion about that. Oh, no, I just, if we can use it, go ahead. No,
Well,
he
okay.
told me that. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me strongly suggest if you really want to have a discussion about property acquisition, you go into executive session so you don't give away any competitive advantage that you may have already given away. So if
Yeah,
you
it's
really
going
want
to
to do
auction
that,
shortly, so
Yeah.
you don't want to give out your.
that would
your
be
game
my
plan.
suggestion. But you know, if you want to discuss it out here, you're certainly welcome to.
What would you like to do?
I would suggest, because like Jeff and we just said, it's, if we get involved, if we want to get involved, that's not fair. It's a competitive advantage. So if we're going to talk about it, it certainly should not be, it's like any buyer, it should be something between the,
We
yes.
could- So
We
we should
should,
go in.
if we're going to do it, we should go into executive session.
I propose whether to go in executive committee or not. Should we take a vote or how we can do that? Yeah.
Need a motion.
Would we not have to
Oh.
read the appropriate statement? on
So what was your motion though, PJ?
My motion is to buy the property. or
No,
not.
no, your motion is to go into executive session to discuss the acquisition of real property.
Yeah, under 121-22G, I think it's 2, but yes, thanks, Jeff.
Do you need a motion to amend the agenda?
No,
Okay.
we're just making this motion. If there'll be a second, and then Jamie will read the roll.
Would you allow the mayor to make his miscellaneous?
Oh, there's nothing that hasn't been covered. I love the annual report. I think it's wonderful. It's got a lot of information. I already said that. And then I was going to talk about what you already covered. All right, I'm happy.
So you made a motion. I heard a motion to enter into executive
To
session.
go into executive session tonight.
Yes,
Yes.
for the acquisition, purchase of property.
So is there a second?
Is there a second?
Second, I'll second you.
Please
Okay.
call, roll call.
Councilman Capell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cole,
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider,
Yes.
Councilman Zerwanka,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Javari,
Yes.
Councilman Gath,
Yes?
Mayor Cirkin,
Yes.
7 yeses.
Thank you.
Okay. I do not